What if I told you that the tiniest movements, yes, even the ones that look like you're barely doing anything, could actually calm your brain? Or even better yet, heal it? Sounds too good to be true, right? Well, today's guest, Alma Galvan, is living proof. After experiencing a brain injury, she discovered something incredible. And what worked for her is proof that these movements can help kids and families find real peace and calm. You don't want to miss this one, so grab your coffee and let's get into this. Welcome to Calm Connection Parenting. I'm your host, Jamie Kirkbride, mom of 7, parenting coach, professional counselor, and wrangler of big emotions. If you're raising a highly sensitive child with intense emotions or challenging behaviors and wondering if you'll make it through without losing your mind, you're not alone. Around here, we're all about real-life parenting, sprinkled with a little humor and a whole lot of patience. So grab your coffee, trust me, you'll need it, and join me as we explore tips, stories, and faith-based strategies to help you bring more calm and confidence into your chaotic days. Let's do this. Today's conversation is one that I've been so excited to share with you. I'm sitting down today again with Alma, parent educator, parent of a neurodiverse child, and passionate advocate for helping kids and families regulate their bodies and emotions through gentle, intentional movement. Alma was one of our speakers for the Calm Connection Parenting Summit, and I loved what she had to share there. And when we were getting ready for the summit, she shared just a little piece of her story, and I thought, man, we have to have her back so we can hear all about it. I know her story will be so powerful for you to hear. After facing this injury that I mentioned, she discovered how small, repetitive movements could actually rewire and restore her brain. And now she's helping families understand that they can do the same for their children. If you're parenting a child with sensory challenges, emotional dysregulation, maybe some of those executive functioning challenges, well, you're in the right place because she's going to help us figure out how these small movements can really help an overwhelmed nervous system. So this episode's for you. Alma brings both science and soul to the work that she does, and I know you're going to walk away with a new sense of hope and some simple tools that you can start using today. Alma, thank you so much for being with us.
Oh, Jamie, thank you so much for having me back.
Oh, you bet. I loved hearing what you had to share with us during the summit, and I even had parents commenting on that they were trying some of the things that you had mentioned and that it just really meant so much to them. So thanks for visiting with us again today. I want to start with hearing about your journey. Can you share what happened and maybe what your season of recovery looked like for you, physically, emotionally, even mentally?
Oh, fantastic. Yes. So I'm going to just start at the very beginning, just for a few sentences, because I really had no idea that my journey with my children would end up, in a sense, saving my life. I really see it that way now. Both of my sons had all kinds of labels when they were younger. And in the 90s, there's no internet, so it was very challenging to find answers. In fact, a couple of doctors suggested I put my eldest in an institution. So that was my original. Oh my
Intro
gosh!
into the world,
Oh,
right?
it was horrible because I was such a shy person. I didn't want to put any. I just wanted to be a computer programmer and be left alone.
Oh, what a different route, huh?
I guess I get to
It's
program a different kind of computer, the most
that's
powerful
right.
one that there is on this
Your
earth.
role
So,
programming, yeah.
yeah, so that's that's where it initiated, and in trying to figure out, because I could not do what the doctors suggested, and they gave me their best shot, right? They gave me their best suggestion for where they saw me, where they saw that I had a baby by then, and but I couldn't do it. So that led me on a quest to figure out there's got to be a way. That's the one question that or comment, thought that kept going inside my brain after I got out of my pity party. There's got to be a way. This can't be life. And so it took a long time. It wasn't just like, "Oh, okay, I'll figure it out," and then ta-da. No, it was grueling, and that's what that has fired me up to share with parents that little tiny movements can make a humongous difference. Because when I finally came up to this one teacher that gave me a clue of what to start doing. Now, she didn't know either. She was just winging it. And she's like, do these movements. And they ended up being like brain gym movements. But she did it with just such a sweet, kind heart that I think that also made a big difference. Her energy, her desire to help my son. And I started doing those movements. And within a week and a half, Jamie, I felt like I could breathe for the very first time since all of this since I became a mom, really.
Oh, so interesting.
Right? And so I had to do these movements along with my sons. And they got better, but guess what? My brain changed too. And I started noticing that I had better executive functions, that I was calmer, but I didn't because I wasn't looking for myself. It wasn't super obvious at the very beginning. You know how they say hindsight's 20/20 vision? Oh, it's so true.
Yeah.
True.
We all learn so much in this process of, learning to help our child. We learn so much about ourselves.
Exactly.
I think that I found that true for myself as well.
So I'm going to fast forward. My sons now are 33 and 30. Ooh, wow.
Oh.
That's even fun to say now. And they're amazing beings. They both have jobs. My oldest, that one that should have been in an institution, he has a girlfriend. He does claymation art for us at Brainworks. So I truly get up every day, and I'm so blessed. I'm so thankful that I get to share a different possibility for some of the people that hear my message and that resonate with the message. And the message really is that if we do tiny movements every single day, they really allow us to change our brain. And I couple it with an intention. Every single movement I do, I add an intention. And I will walk us through one of the movements that has become just, oh my gosh, my favorite by far now.
Oh, neat.
Because of what it has added. And it really takes no more than, it could take up to 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute.
Yeah.
But it's not the time, it's the consistency of doing it over time that makes the difference.
Well, I can't wait for you to teach us that.
So let me share with you a tiny bit of the injury that happened.
Yeah, do share with that. Share that with us.
Well, I wanted to lay the foundation of where I'm coming from, because December 9th of 2024, so it has been, 7 months since then. I was in a meeting, and I'm about an hour into the meeting, where then all of a sudden I felt this extraordinary energy coming up my spine, going into the pons medulla area, the back of my brain. And then it expanded, an energy that expanded. And I'm like, well, that's not good. And it just came back. The energy just came back. And then it shot into my left side of my brain. And I felt this explosion. So it was an aneurysm that basically had ruptured. And I had no idea. I had no symptoms. I had nothing. So needless to say, my friends, obviously, and the people that I was with in that meeting, they called an ambulance. They took me to a ER hospital, where then they're like, oh, we have to do surgery on her and get this under control. So they sent me to a different hospital, and they sedated me for 2 days. So I was in a coma for a couple days. And then I started coming back. They put coils. It's so fantastic how they do things now. And about 3 days after I came out of the coma, one of the doctors, there was 3 doctors in. Oh, because I was in ICU for 21 days. And one of the doctors came in, and she's like, "We're going to take one of the coils." They put coils inside the aneurysm to start having it be blocked. And then they also put another coil in my brain to monitor how my brain was functioning. And so she comes in and she goes, I don't know. We don't know what's going on, but we're going to go ahead and take that coil out because your brain is just recovering so fast, and we're not sure why. And so my husband was there at that moment, and takes out his phone and he goes to our website, and he goes, "Do you think this might have something to do with it?" And she looked at it, for just a moment and paused, and she goes, "Do you do this?" Yes. I teach neurodevelopment. I teach movement. And so then I've done these movements for a long time, every single day. They are my friend. They're like brushing my teeth. You know how you cannot go without brushing your teeth? That's what these movements feel like to me. I feel a difference, and then it's like, ah.
Wow. That's crazy. Well, at what point did you discover that these small intentional movements could actually help your brain heal? And what did that look like in the beginning stages?
Well, that's one of the things that in theory, I knew that the brain, I've seen it over and over in different ways, that the brain has a brain plasticity effect. It can rewire itself. It can change. I didn't understand truly to the degree that it has happened to me, that I have experienced it internally and experienced it in my life, that these little movements became reflexive to me. They're tiny. They're like I said, 30 seconds, 1 minute, 3 minutes. But over time, they become accessible at any time. And this is where I celebrate this piece. That when I was in a coma, my husband took pictures of me doing the movements that I do every single day. So even in an unconscious state, again, it became reflexive within me. If we do things over and over and over, they become part of us. So they have become reflexive. And I really attribute a huge amount of the recovery of my brain coming back online in the way that it did to the work that I have been doing. And I mentioned to you before we started that is very interesting this week, that I just had this epiphany thought that it felt like that to me, that in a sense, if it hadn't been for my sons having their challenges, I don't know if I really would be here at this point.
I would agree. I mean, that makes such sense to connect those dots, that, some knowledge and information that you gained early on helped you embrace the importance and the power of those movements, so much so that they became your habit, and that habit became something that even in an unconscious state, your brain was still performing.
That was pretty incredible for me to experience that, to see that, and then now to get to live it. There's still I'm still taking it easy. It's only been 6-7 months that happened. So I'm doing probably about half the workload that I typically would do. And I already thought, Jamie, that I had already peeled back quite a bit of the stressors.
Right.
And even then, they don't really know why it happened. They think that it might have been already from birth or something like that. But I didn't even know very much about what an aneurysm was. And then later I started researching it. What is an aneurysm?
What is this anyway? No. Well, it seems like so many times we associate healing with rest or a therapy, but you found that these small movements that had become habits played this powerful role in your life. Would you attribute that to this neuroplasticity, or is there something scientific that we have to understand in order to make sense of the effectiveness of this healing and calming your brain?
Well, it all is a beautiful inner play that they do together. Our body needs to be calm in order for our brain to function optimally. And so if I'm able to do a little bit at a time, little movements that keep my body calm, my brain is able to be present. My brain is able to pay attention, have access to my creative part of my brain. So in a sense, these little movements give us this capacity to change the brain and really change the outcome of pretty much almost anything that we're dealing with.
Well,
Can you give us an example of like maybe one of the small movements that your husband noticed you doing? Because it's hard to even picture, like I'm trying to picture you unconscious, but what would he notice you doing that would make those kind of differences or that had become reflexive?
There's quite a few that I did because I do them every day. So I
Because those of us who don't do them are just trying to imagine what it must be.
What is that? Okay, yes, I'd love to. So I'm going to walk you through, like I said, my favorite one, and it's called Soothing Heart, because more and more, I feel like our brain has been so on, and it's on more and more, and our heart seems to be there.
Just kind of put on the back burner, but
Yeah, and I feel like a huge amount of what I do comes from my heart. And so I want to continue connecting with my heart. So why don't we go ahead and set an intention? My intention is, and I mentioned it briefly to you, that I have different intentions that I do that I do every intention every day. I do a specific intention that just is random every day. And then every so often when I'm like, what's my go-to one? It's like a, yeah, of some, my back pocket has
your
an
favorite
intention
maybe.
that just feels so good. It's a touching stone that makes me feel good. And one is, I show up, I do my best, and release the rest. That's the way that I'm like, okay, I could do that.
Yeah.
I can just show up and I'm going to do my best. No pressure, no judgment, and then just whatever it is, it is. And so that's our intention, because as a parent, we want to be able to I want you to know, if you're a parent, that you really are, and there's a lot of science of how I can talk about that, but we don't have time for that, we are doing the best we can given our biology, our beliefs. But this is why this little movement I'm going to teach you will start to, if you do this every day, will start to change your belief system a little at a time. So let's do this. We're going to put both hands over your heart. And just connect with your heart for a moment. Feel your heart and feel how it's nonstop beating. It has been beating since the moment we started being us in our mother's womb, that our mother didn't even know, and our heart was already beating. It's mind-boggling to me how our heart has not stopped since then, day in, day out, consistently. And that expands my gratitude for my heart. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take a breath. And when we exhale, we're going to exhale through our mouth, and you're going to just gently hug your heart, like put a little bit of pressure on your chest, or just hug your heart. Imagine how it would feel if you were reaching in and hugging your heart, very gently though. Okay, take a breath. Exhale through your mouth. And we're going to do 3 breaths. So I show up, I do my best, and I release the rest. Go ahead and take a breath again. And hug your heart gently and exhale through your mouth. And let's do that one more time. I show up, I do my best, and I release the rest. Take a breath. And hug your heart. And Jamie, it could be as simple as that.
Wow.
If you have a little bit more time, you could change your hands, but just connecting with your heart, putting a little bit of pressure on your heart.
Yeah.
As you exhale, there's so much science behind that. It sounds so simple, but it's powerful. The Heart Math Institute and Braden, what's his first name? Braden's talking about, they've done a lot of research, and I had started doing soothing. I call it soothing heart. We call it soothing heart in Brainworks. Because in a sense, we're connecting with our heart and we're soothing ourselves, we're soothing our heart. And this tiny movement allows us to be more present. Do you feel that?
Oh, yeah, present, and I feel more connected.
Yes.
Just like a grounding within, you know? It's such a neat feeling.
Yeah. And it allows us to pause for a moment, allows us to, for me, to gain a better grasp of what's important to me at this moment.
Well, it's easy to just sometimes feel like you're all in your head, but by connected, I just mean like it just feels like everything's working together.
Yes.
And that's such a neat feeling.
It's beautiful. And in our heart, we have something that is called, actually have three brains. A gut brain, our heart brain has 40,000 very specialized neurons in our brain. And our brain, Jamie, is the last one to really know what's going on. So
that seems a little backwards, doesn't it?
it really does, but it's so fascinating.
Yeah,
And so that's why
interesting.
if we do a movement that calms our body, then we're really giving the best shot to our brain to catch up to what's really going on.
Oh, that's neat. I love that. So many good things to hear from you, Alma, and how it relates to your story, as well as how it really translates into the work that you do with families and children, and what we can do with our own kids and families. We're going to be back in a minute to hear more from Alma, but first, I would like to share this.
Parenting a uniquely wired child can feel isolating, right? While other parents are talking about typical tantrums and bedtime battles, you're navigating emotional meltdowns, sensory overload, or challenging behaviors that many people just don't understand. It can be frustrating when the advice you hear just doesn't fit your child, and even harder when you feel like you're alone in the journey. But here's the truth. You don't have to settle for just surviving. In the Calm Connection Parent Coaching Program, I'll help you understand your child's unique wiring and give you faith-based practical strategies to not only manage the emotions and challenging behaviors, but actually help your whole family thrive. With video course, workbooks, a supportive community, and weekly coaching calls, you'll get personalized support every step of the way. If you're ready to stop feeling alone and start finding real solutions that work for you, your child, and your family, then visit calmconnectionparent.com to learn more. Together, let's move you from surviving to thriving. Let's do this.
That's right. The Calm Connection Parent Coaching Program is a great way for you as parents to find the guidance, the support, the resources that can be so hard to find. And I would love to walk with you on your parenting journey. We have new groups starting, so be sure to jump into the Parenting with Personality Facebook group where you can find out more information or even get a link to jump on a call. And I'd love to visit with you and see if this might be something that can help you, your child, and even your entire family. So again, calmconnectionparent.com to learn more about that program. But let's get back to what Alma has to share with us. I know there's more. What were some of the most surprising results that you personally experienced as you implemented these small movements? And how quickly did you notice the changes?
Well, the biggest thing that I saw early on was how it was like there was a calmer energy in our home. And the reality was that, yes, my children were doing the movements. They were nonverbal, by the way, until 6 years old. So it was mayhem. It was hard. It was hell. I'm going to say that.
Well, I think that many parents would describe some of our days that way. It's hard dealing with emotional dysregulation, intensity, sensory challenges. I mean, there's so many different things that really do start to compound and make life feel so difficult.
And that's where, looking back, like I said, the number one thing that I do for myself and for our community at Brainworks is that we really guide each and every one of us to focus on our nervous system first. You know, I love the saying that says, stop trying to calm the storm, calm yourself, the storm will pass. And so the more that we focus on figuring out how can we stay present, regulated, everything else will find its way a little at a time. If we are calm, if we're not calm, we're gonna find a way, but it's gonna be at a cost at a certain point. and we're not dealing with things in the best possible way because we're freaking out inside us. I'm not a good enough parent. I'm not a good enough person, and I'm not blah, blah, blah. And that's where, for me, Soothing Heart is very, very beautiful because then it connects us to who we are and lets us know, you know what, things are challenging right now. But I love understanding this, Jamie, that there's always duality in our world. There's challenges, and at the same time, there's beautiful things, but we have to be able to take those beautiful things in and deal with whatever challenges we're having.
Oh, that makes so much sense. Now, I know that you work with children and families now, and some of that you were already doing before you experienced these things personally. But can you tell us, are these the things that are helping deal with the emotional escalation, sensory stuff, executive functioning? Like, how do these movements translate into making a difference in those behaviors?
So a movement like Soothing Heart is one that, again, if we build it in like a muscle, right? We build it, we don't expect us to use that muscle when we're in the heat of the moment with the challenges. We want to work up to being able to access that movement. But many times, if we don't have that within us, if it's not within our muscles, if we haven't exercised it, we're not going to go to it.
I love how you say that. And it's that way with so many strategies or tools. And if we wait to only employ them in the heat of the moment,
we're not going to do it.
We're going to crash and burn. And then we're going to think, oh man, that's a tool that doesn't work. I knew there wasn't anything that could help me. No. But it's like you said, it's making things a habit. It's making them, and you experienced it personally, so much so that when you were unconscious, your brain was still taking over and doing those things because you'd practice them. So really the power comes with practice. Would you agree?
Practice and a little at a time, and truly just being able to know that we're doing the best we can. We are not, I've never met a parent that says, you know what, I'm just going to do a half job.
I'm only going to give this half effort today. No, we're trying hard, trying hard. Well, for parents listening now who might feel overwhelmed or unsure about where to start, I know we can try the calming heart. Is that what you called it?
I call
Soothing Heart, the Soothing Heart movement. Is there any other thing that might be something that we can begin to use to calm our nervous system and supporting our child's brain? Maybe one quick win that we could even employ this week in addition to the Soothing Heart.
In addition to that, we could do this. We could do a movement that is basically, it's an infinity sign. You're going to trace an infinity sign. You could do it in the air. You could do it on your leg. You could do it with your foot. It doesn't matter how you trace that infinity sign, but just doing an infinity sign allows us to connect the left and the right side of the brain with ease, with ease. And so just doing it for 30, 40 seconds brings our brain to be in a whole brain state, which then allows us to have more access to what we need. And I'll tell you a quick story of the infinity sign, because when I was learning this, the teacher said, if you have something that is in your brain, that you learned, and you can't access it, it's like at the tip of your tongue, but you can't access it. If you do the infinity sign, they call it a lazy 8, or we call it a lazy 8. If we do an infinity sign, all of a sudden you will be able to catch that. You'll be able to go to that place that has that information. And I'm like, yeah, right.
I'm going to be waiting to try this now.
Right now, I'm like, that sounds too good. And funny enough, this is why I love it. That same week, I was at a ATM machine that needed cash. And I'm like, so I had an ATM card that I hadn't used in a long time. And so then I'm like, I plug in the code. I'm still picturing myself on the side of this building. Wait. I plug in the code, and then all of a sudden it's like, no, that's the wrong one. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll try it again. And it was wrong. I'm like, if I do it again, it's going to lock me out. So I go back in my car, and I'm needless to say, not happy. And I'm like, it's going to take me like an hour to go home and come back and blah, blah, blah. And then wait, they said that if I did the lazy 8, that it if I haven't, I knew it, like I remember it. I memorized that code. It's in there somewhere. So I started doing the lazy 8 on my steering wheel. I'm just like, yeah, sure, right. Not even really believing it at that point. No way. Because I'm a pretty big skeptic. I need to see certain things I need to experience them. And so then within, I'm not kidding, Jamie, it hadn't even been like a minute that then all of a sudden it's like, I know what it is. Like, you know that, you know that, you know. And I plugged it in, and I'm like, oh my goodness. Well, yeah, if I'm able to bring my brain together, then I can access what I know.
That is incredible. And I'm forgetting things all the time. So now I can't wait to forget something so I can try it.
Try it.
That is great. I have heard. I actually went to a occupational therapist one time that said we should have our son walk on a thing on the floor, like if he was trying to learn to spell or do multiplication or
100%.
Yeah.
100%. It calms the nervous system. It's very calming when you do a lazy 8. When you trace it, you can do it with colors, with pencils, with whatever, with your finger. It doesn't matter.
I forgot all about that until you mentioned it today. I should have had that out for a long time.
I doodle a lot. I do a lot with, like, when I just need to, like, how refresh, that's one of the tools that I use to just refresh my brain. So
I'll have to give it a try. That's great. Well, can you tell us a little bit about how families can connect with you, Alma?
Absolutely. They can just go to our website, brainworksinc.com, WRXINC.com, or you can email me directly, alma@brainworksinc.com. And any questions you may have, or just concerns, or
Very good.
anything, we're here. I'm here. I'm a parent, really. I'm coming in as a parent, just saying, I am very fortunate to have put all kinds of little different nuggets together from different sources, and then added a flair that I like.
That's great. It's great.
That's what we are.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story, your heart, and your hard-earned wisdom with us today. It's incredible to think that something as simple as these small movements, something so gentle and accessible, can make such a powerful difference in healing and calming the brain. Your journey brings so much hope, and I know so many parents listening are walking away feeling a little more equipped and a whole lot more encouraged. I know I am. To you parents, if you've ever felt overwhelmed or helpless in the face of your child's big emotions or struggles, let this be a reminder. Healing doesn't have to be complicated. Change doesn't have to come in huge leaps and bounds. Sometimes it starts with the smallest of steps, literally. So keep going, keep learning, and remember, you're not alone on this path. You've got this, and I'm cheering you on every step of the way.
Thanks for hanging out with me today. Just remember, you've got this. And on the days you don't, well, we're in this together. Take a deep breath and keep building those heart-to-heart connections. If you found this episode helpful, please share it with a friend who might need it too. And don't forget to connect with us at parentingwithpersonality.com or in our Parenting with Personality Facebook support group. We'd love to continue supporting you there. Until next time, keep calm and parent on.